Tottenham thought they had it. Tottenham thought that they were the UEFA Super Cup champions. It was thought to be all over for Paris Saint-Germain, but it wasn't. In the 85th minute, Paris Saint-Germain sparked a comeback and it was ultimately completed. Paris Saint-Germain emerged victorious. Therefore, Les Parisiens are the 2025 UEFA Super Cup champions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Into the Net FC. My name is AlexAlKazzaz, and I'm also known as the Bear of Texas. What an incredible, incredible moment for Paris Saint-Germain. A moment of redemption after coming up short in the FIFA Club World Cup. Paris Saint-Germain pulled off one of the most impressive comebacks ever. Tottenham thought that they had won their second major title in a matter of months, but it ultimately all came crashing down. Tottenham has been absolutely humiliated. Humiliated. The fact that it was in the 85th minute that Paris Saint-Germain finally got on the scoring board, and in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Gonzalo Ramos made it 2-2. The fact that Tottenham blew a 2-0 lead in the closing minutes of the game is a very heartbreaking moment. If that's not heartbreaking enough, what happened in the penalty shootout is even more painful for Tottenham. Paris Saint-Germain's resilience really did the trick. Paris Saint-Germain, despite the pressure, they just did not give up. You know, as I was watching this game, seeing PSG get completely obliterated by Tottenham, I said to myself, this is it. This is the downfall of Paris Saint-Germain, and I'm going to have to go back to being on a barrage of criticism towards the club. Well, thankfully, that has been canceled. You know, had Tottenham actually had they held on, the name of this episode would be, the discussion rather, would be the rise and the fall of Paris Saint-Germain. That's not happening, folks, because Paris Saint-Germain once again pulled off an incredible comeback. And whether you like the club or not, you have to admit what they did was amazing. I know for a fact that my good friend Anthony, who's a strong supporter of Olympique de Marseille, well, he's obviously not too thrilled about this result. Now, Anthony did give PSG credit for winning the Champions League, especially with that 5-0 dominant win over Inter Milan in the Champions League final. Anthony gave Paris Saint-Germain credit for this one. He did say, well, they deserve that one. Now, in this particular case, I don't know exactly what Anthony has to say because I did not ask for comment. But my good friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams, gave Paris Saint-Germain all the credit that they deserve. And for the record, Steve is an Olympique de Marseille fan as well. And Steve cannot, well, he cannot stand Paris Saint-Germain. Just for the record. But like I said, no matter who you support, no matter how you feel about Paris Saint-Germain, you have to give them credit. What they did was phenomenal. In my case, look, I have made a career on this program of brutally criticizing Paris Saint-Germain. I have made a career of burying this team alive with barrages of mass criticism. It's entertained a lot of fans because a lot of fans and a lot of listeners of this show have enjoyed hearing me bury Paris Saint-Germain. At the same time, some of them have said, well, as much as I like hearing you bury this team, I love it when you give them credit, Alex. You know what? You have to give credit to where credit's due. Paris Saint-Germain did something exceptional, and it will not be forgotten. The big story right now involving Paris Saint-Germain is obviously Gianluigi Donnarumma. It appears to have been confirmed. He is on his way out of the club. It's very unfortunate that this is what it's come down to. It really is. Because Donnarumma gave Paris Saint-Germain so much. I mean, as a matter of fact, Paris Saint-Germain ought to be grateful for Donnarumma for all eternity, which I'm sure they are. Both sides, well, it worked out for both, for Donnarumma and for Paris Saint-Germain. But it's just unfortunate that it had to end this way between Paris Saint-Germain and Donnarumma. Donnarumma was not even in the lineup. He wasn't even on the bench. So, the fact that he was not even on the bench, not even part of the squad for the UEFA Super Cup, that ultimately signaled it. I mean, that was dead giveaway. That's it. He's rumored to be going to Manchester United, and I talked about it in the last episode about what's the latest in the sport of football. He is linked with a move to Manchester United, and I talked about it, but what does this mean for Andre Onana in Manchester United's case? You know what? I could have sworn that all of a sudden Manchester City apparently is linked with possibly getting Donnarumma. Well, wherever Donnarumma goes, well, I wish him nothing but the best. And the replacement for Donnarumma arrived at Paris Saint-Germain a few days before the UEFA Super Cup took place. Lucas Chevalier officially arrived at Paris Saint-Germain on a certain date. I believe it was on the 9th. On the 9th or the 10th. And the game was on the 13th. So yesterday, as I'm recording on this lovely Thursday evening. So this game was on Wednesday afternoon. So just a few days after arriving at Paris Saint-Germain, Lucas Chevalier gets the start in the UEFA Super Cup, and he plays a huge part in helping Paris Saint-Germain get the title. Lucas Chevalier had a moment. Now, there was a moment that was bad, but there were several moments that were good. So while Chevalier had several good moments, there was unfortunately one bad moment. But you know what? Overall, it was great. When Tottenham went up 2-0, the goal that Lucas Chevalier conceded, well, on Twitter and on social media, all over social media, including Twitter, a barrage of criticism unfolded on Lucas Chevalier. As a matter of fact, there were a couple of posts with Donnarumma smiling and the whole headline, "You missed me yet?" So Lucas Chevalier makes that massive blunder. And many people decide to go on a barrage of criticism. They even decide to go as far as trolling Paris Saint-Germain for choosing Chevalier over Donnarumma. Look, I can understand why a lot of people are upset, and well, some people are upset, but more people are questioning the decision of going with Chevalier over Donnarumma. Look, Chevalier is a great goalie, okay? I've watched what he did with Lille, especially last season. Lille with that huge win over Real Madrid, as well as Atletico Madrid. Hey, Lucas Chevalier played a role in those big wins, so it's no surprise that Lucas Chevalier played a huge role in this win for Paris Saint-Germain. So Lucas Chevalier committed a serious blunder when he conceded the second goal that allowed Tottenham to go up 2-0. But Lucas Chevalier ultimately redeemed himself. The man made 3 saves, so we gotta give him that. He even made a save in the penalty shootout. So Chevalier had his bad moment, but you know what? He triumphed with good moments. This was Chevalier's first game for Paris Saint-Germain. Of course it went the way it did. Now, some would say the first game for a goalie would be in a Ligue 1 match, but because Paris Saint-Germain won the Champions League this summer, of course, the UEFA Super Cup is the annual match between the winner of the Champions League and the Europa League. So Chevalier was dealt a very serious hand to make his debut for his new club, Paris Saint-Germain, in the UEFA Super Cup match. So in his first game, he wins a title. I mean, that's huge. I mean, last year, Kylian Mbappe made his debut for Real Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup match. He even scored a goal. So that was a great moment. Chevalier had a moment as well. So I think Chevalier is on his way to truly taking his career to the next level. And I said several times on this program that it would not be surprising if Paris Saint-Germain brought him in. If Lucas Chevalier keeps this up, then mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, other European teams are going to want to sign him. Teams in the Premier League, hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if Real Madrid or Barcelona wanted to sign Lucas Chevalier in about 3 or 4 years. Hell, I'm sure An Italian team would love to sign him. I wouldn't be surprised if a German team went after him. I mean, could you imagine if Bayern Munich went after Lucas Chevalier? Hey, if Lucas Chevalier keeps it up, then mark my words, at least 4 major European teams are going to want to sign him. Lucas Chevalier is starting the new chapter of his life and in his career. This is a moment to take things to the next level, and I know that he's going to do good. Mark my words once again, ladies and gentlemen, in a couple of years, at least 4 of the European Super teams are going to want to sign him. Lucas Chevalier had an exciting debut, an amazing debut, and I'm excited to see what he does next. So congratulations to Lucas Chevalier on an impactful debut for Paris Saint-Germain. Well, next I got to talk about Ousmane Dembele. You know, I was worried that this loss, that if Paris Saint-Germain came up short, and if Dembele did not have a good performance, that this would ultimately further affect his chances of winning the Ballon d'Or. Ousmane Dembele came through again. He didn't score a goal, but he provided an assist. He provided the assist in the goal that tied the game 2-2. Now, in the penalty shootout, Ousmane Dembele did step up and take a penalty, which he successfully converted. Ousmane Dembele has just been absolutely incredible this year. I mean, I have been praising Ousmane Dembele for a very, very long time. But this particular season, I have never praised Ousmane Dembele the way I did, and I had never praised him as much as I did this season. Ousmane Dembele has had a hell of a season. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And of course, he was named the man of the match for the UEFA Super Cup game. Of course. And here's what's so special. Ousmane Dembele has now been directly involved in 37 goals across all competitions in 2025, which is at least 6 more than any other player from Europe's top 5 leagues. Let me say that one more time. Ousmane Dembele has now been directly involved in 37 goals across all competitions in 2025, which is at least 6 more than any other player from Europe's top 5 leagues. Ousmane Dembele has scored 27 goals and provided 10 assists. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Ousmane Dembele deserves the Ballon d'Or. He deserves it. Honestly, at this point, it would be foolish that if he didn't win it. At this point, Ousmane Dembele has proved himself and solidified himself to the point where there's just no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. Ousmane Dembele deserves the Ballon d'Or. Man, what a match this was. And much to my surprise, after the 90 minutes, the game went straight to a penalty shootout. Is there something that I'm missing, ladies and gentlemen? Is there a reason why this did not go into extra time? Now, I talked about this with my good friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams, and he said, I don't remember quite what he said, but what I responded to him was, avoid the injuries. Okay, all right. But I was actually very surprised that this final did not go into extra time. I mean, in my case, again, I'm wondering if there's anything that I missed, okay? Because I was following this game, okay? So I'm not crazy. This game did not go into extra time. So after the 90 minutes, and of course the stoppage time of the 90 minutes, it went straight to a penalty shootout. And Tottenham had the advantage. Even though my friend Steve Adams gave the edge to Paris Saint-Germain, Tottenham immediately gained the advantage themselves because they were up 2-0 in the penalty shootout. Solanke made the first one for Tottenham. Vitinha missed the first one for Paris Saint-Germain, which is very rare for Vitinha to miss. But it only proves that he's human. Bentancur made it 2-0 for Tottenham. Gonzalo Ramos made it 2-1 for Paris Saint-Germain. Tottenham had a chance to go up 3-1, but the player missed. Van de Ven missed. As a matter of fact, Van de Ven is the one who scored the opening goal for Tottenham in the 39th minute. Could not pull through in the penalty shootout. I believe that was a penalty that was actually saved by Lucas Chevalier. So therefore, Ousmane Dembele went up to the plate. Well, I should say, walked up to the plate. Okay, now I'm confusing myself. Well, he stepped up to the plate and took the penalty, and took the next penalty. There we go. Ousmane Dembele stood up to the plate and took the next penalty. And I hope I'm getting the expression correctly. It's been a long day, folks. I'm very overworked. I'm not feeling well. I'm going through a lot. But Ousmane Dembele stepped up to the plate, okay? This is what Paris Saint-Germain needed to stay alive in this penalty shootout. He successfully converts it. Tottenham has a chance to go back up. Tottenham misses the next one. A player by the name of Tell missed that one. Therefore, Lee Kang-in, who scored the first goal for PSG in the 85th minute, which was a beautiful, beautiful goal, steps up. Lee Kang-in steps up, makes it 3-2 for PSG, only for Tottenham to actually convert their next penalty. It's 3-3 in the penalties. The next one will be the decider. PSG has their chance. Who steps up to the plate but Nuno Mendes? And he successfully converts it. Very beautifully done. PSG wins the penalty shootout 4-3 and wins the UEFA Super Cup. As a matter of fact, Paris Saint-Germain is the first French club to win the UEFA Super Cup. Back in 1993, when Olympique de Marseille won the Champions League, Olympique de Marseille was involved in a bit of a controversy in which they were stripped of the French Ligue 1 title, and I believe they were relegated to the second tier of French football. Now, I actually told my friend Steve about this, because Steve actually told me that, because Marseille was, in trouble, they didn't actually play. Although, just in case, just to look it up, the 1993 UEFA Super Cup, AC Milan actually was in one. So it was Parma versus AC Milan, and Parma won. So, yes, of course, AC Milan, they were the runners-up in the 1993 Champions League. Of course, Marseille pulling off that huge upset win. So, as far as I'm concerned, basically, because Marseille was banned from European football due to it was a match-fixing scandal, meant that Milan took their spot. So yes, indeed, Steve is absolutely right. PSG is officially the first French club to win the UEFA Super Cup. Now, when PSG won the Champions League, many said congratulations to PSG on becoming the first French club to win the title, and I said to a lot of those people, that is incorrect. Marseille is the first French club to win the Champions League. Now, PSG, believe it or not, they're not even the second team to make it to the Champions League final. That would be Monaco. Monaco made the final in 2004, where they unfortunately lost to Porto. PSG was the first French team in over 30 years to win the Champions League. And going back to Marseille, after Marseille winning the Champions League, because of the match-fixing scandal, it's unfortunate what happened to them like that. So, but again, as far as I know, if I remember correctly, again, Marseille, they were stripped of the French Ligue 1, and they were relegated to the second tier of French football. So of course, at this point, it's max fitching. Of course, it also involves bribery as well. So, man. So, at this point, Marseille lost their Division 1 title, and UEFA prevented Marseille from competing in the Champions League tournament the following season, as well as the 1993 European Super Cup and the 1993 Intercontinental Cup. So, several players were suspended as well. So, man, and the French Division 1 title was offered to the runners-up Paris Saint-Germain, but they actually refused it. So, therefore, no team was classed as winning the 1992-1993 French title. PSG was actually also offered the 93-94 UEFA Champions League spot that was vacated by Marseille, but they refused it because their sponsors, Canal Plus, thought that taking the spot would cause issues with the viewers in Provence. So therefore, Monaco took the spot instead, and PSG instead competed in the 93-94 European Cup Winners' Cup as the winners of the 1992-93 Coupe de France. Man, a lot of history in French football. Of course, there's also controversy. But as far as Marseille being stripped of the French Ligue 1 title, I believe they were also relegated to the second tier of French football. But, man, Marseille eventually kind of recovered from it in a sense. But yeah, indeed, they were in fact relegated to the second tier of French football due to the match fixing scandal, and they were stripped of the 1993 league title for bribing Valenciennes players. And they were allowed to keep the Champions League title. And as a matter of fact, Steve actually, I told Steve that I was surprised that Marseille was not stripped of the Champions League. Steve said that he was surprised as well, but he also mentioned, but Alex, they were stripped of the Ligue 1 title. They were relegated to the second division of French football, the second tier. So Marseille got a reasonable punishment. I talked to my dad about this. Yeah, my dad loves Olympique de Marseille, and way back in the day, he was a huge fan of Olympique de Marseille. As a matter of fact, there's a funny story involving me the day that Marseille won the Champions League. I was 6 months old at the time, and there's actually a funny story. I mean, I'll just say it right here. When Marseille won the title, my dad was so excited that, of course, I was 6 months old. He was, he's a father. He picks up his baby son, and apparently, according to my mom, I threw up on my dad the day that Marseille won the freaking Champions League. Again, I was 6 months old, and I don't know what my dad did, but whatever my dad did, it caused me to regurgitate, and I threw up on my dad. Funny, right? I threw up on my dad that day. Man, I was 6 months old when Marseille won the Champions League, so right now I need to apologize to both Steve and to my dad because I just made them feel old. Sorry, guys. Yeah, but, and going to the story, because I've watched extensive highlights of the game between Marseille and the Champions League final of 1993. I mean, the game was so tight, and Marseille, the way they scored off of I think it was off of a corner. I mean, AC Milan was heavily favored, so I mean, my dad was watching that game, especially after Marseille took the lead. He was like watching and really like this and hoping that Marseille holds on, and they did. And once it was game over, I think that's when my dad picked me up, did whatever, and then I did what I did. So, anyway, kind of got distracted on this little rant of French football involving Marseille. But anyway, Paris Saint-Germain really wrote a brilliant chapter in this season. And again, it's unfortunate that they didn't win the FIFA Club World Cup. They won 5 titles this season, okay? 5 titles. Man. I mean, you look at everything. I mean, there's actually a chance for a 6th title. I believe that's the FIFA Intercontinental Cup. So, man. So you're looking from everything, and looking at the FIFA Intercontinental Cup. This actually, I believe, of course, Real Madrid won it last season. I believe it ends in December. So there's actually a couple of matches that were supposed to take place, but right now, Paris Saint-Germain is competing with Al Ahly, a Mexican club called Cruz Azul, an Egyptian club called Pyramids, and Auckland City. So there's really no reason for PSG to come up short in this one. So winning 5 titles already is huge for Paris Saint-Germain, but of course they want to win a 6th title for the season. But does the FIFA Intercontinental title really... Okay, well, 5th title this year in 2025. So this FIFA Intercontinental title will be in the year 2025. So it's basically around the end of the year, right before Christmas. So PSG is looking to add one more to the trophy case for the year 2025. So even though they came up short in the FIFA Club World Cup, PSG achieved redemption in winning the UEFA Super Cup. Now, of course, a lot of people took the opportunity to brutally troll Tottenham, but some people actually took the chance to troll PSG because they said that PSG could not beat Chelsea but they got the job done against Tottenham. So there was a lot of trolling in this one. A lot of trolling, but, you know, football fans will do that. Sports fans will do that. So, as far as I'm concerned, well, you know what? This is huge for Paris Saint-Germain. And Paris Saint-Germain, of course, moving forward, I mean, Ligue 1 is about to start. So, they'll actually play in a couple of days. I believe they'll play their first Ligue 1 match. As a matter of fact, it's going to be this Sunday. PSG will take on Nantes, and it will be on the road. PSG plays their first home game of the year in Ligue 1 against Angers. So looking at the early kind of like from that, well, PSG will not. They'll play Marseille in the traditional French Le Classique in Marseille. They'll play that on September 21st. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that. So PSG is very likely to win Ligue 1 again. But I'm seriously, and this time for real, I'm seriously hoping, I mean, last year there was some competition for some time, but I'm hoping that the competition is more aggressive this year in Ligue 1. So I'm hoping that the likes of Marseille, Monaco, Lyon, Nice, Lille, I'm hoping to see some very, very serious competition in French Ligue 1. Again, last season there was some competition. But when these other clubs were not able to get the job done and PSG was taking advantage, PSG ultimately ran away with it. So, that was that. That truly was that. Once again, congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain on a spectacular rally triumph in the UEFA Super Cup against Tottenham. For Tottenham, well, it's a very unfortunate set of circumstances, but well, I don't even know what to say. Did Tottenham underestimate PSG? Did PSG just find a way when nobody else thought that they would? I mean, whatever the case may be, whatever theory that I can come up with, whatever theory anybody else can come up with, the bottom line is PSG pulled off an incredible comeback, and well, they scored those 2 goals in a span of about 10 minutes, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Into the Net FC is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. As always, hit that subscribe button, please, and please hit that notification bell. That way, I know for sure that you're not going to miss out on any exciting upcoming content. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, let me know in the comments what you think of PSG's big win. Let me know what you think happened. How did this happen to Tottenham? How can Tottenham recover? Did Tottenham underestimate? I mean, whatever theory you have, I'm interested in hearing it. Thank y'all very, very much. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.